called David Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're lucky to have an academic from Wellington that tells us how the housing market works. That member would have no idea what a house even looks like, let alone build one, and then wants to be in control of the market. The Labor Party, in their whole speech, has been about a large-scale government building program. Let's go back to communism. Let's go back to the 1950s. Let's go back to the Soviet eras and let's have a 5-year plan. Let's make it a 10-year plan. Let's see how they build those houses. I bet you they'll be lovely-looking houses, won't they? They'll all look the same, and they'll all be on streets named after Grant Robinson or somebody else, and they'll all have the same number. They might put A, B, C just to make it different so that you can actually put the mailboxes. With New Zealand First, they'd need 3 mailboxes per house. But the Labor Party, and they'd all be the same colour, because you can't have anyone having a different colour. You might be able to paint the garage roof if you're lucky. They'll all be pointing the same way. They'll all have the same car out the front, and everybody will be in the same job and will be doing the same things day by day. That's what the Labor Party's vision of housing solutions is. That is what they believe in. They actually believe that the 30 members, is it, of the Labor Party left, that are sitting in this House can actually determine what the future of the New Zealand economy and the New Zealand housing market look like. And I thought there was one line in there that, well, there's a couple of lines, but there was one where Grant Robinson really showed his true colours, and he said that the National Party doesn't understand the market. And that's what he said, we don't understand the market. Well, that may be the case, But one of his other lines was that the government is the controller of more land. The government is the controller of more land that can be released. Well, I have never seen a government development of land like that. The land is developed by the developers. It isn't by the government. If anybody is in between the developer and the government, it's called a council. And the council has the ability then to dictate how land will be developed. It's not developed by the government. So we get someone like Grant Robinson that has some amazing plan of building these 30,000 houses, not telling you where you're going to get the people to build them, not telling you where you're going to get the infrastructure to put around them, not telling you where you're actually going to get the materials to build them, and not telling you where they're actually going to be built. But then he is the controller of the release of land, is Grant Robinson, and that is great to see because that's not how the market works. Let's look at how a market actually works. Yeah, I will. And you might learn something. Now, in a market, there are individuals called purchasers. And one of the things that they look for is the interest rates that they have on their house. And in New Zealand, interest rates are now at 6%. Compare that when the Labor Party was last in government, they were 10.9%. The biggest thing that determines the growth of the New Zealand property market is interest rates, because it's your ability to repay that banks look at. They'll lend you the money if you can repay. Even if you don't have the equity, they will lend you the money if you have the income. Nobody in the Labor Party would understand this because nobody's actually ever run a business. But if you ever run a business, you would understand that your income earning ability is the key thing. It's not necessarily the assets you hold, it's your ability to earn income, because that's the ability to service debt. And under National, your biggest cost for New Zealand households is now 6% compared with 9% on that side. What's it in Australia? He wants to know what the interest rates are in Australia. They're a little bit less than New Zealand interest rates, but that doesn't matter. We're not dealing with the Australian market, are we? And that member over there may think he's in the Australian market, but he's not. He's in the New Zealand market. Now, if we look at house prices, though, house prices under the Labor Party went up 96% in 9 years. 96% in 9 years they went up under that party. Up to the budget in 2014, they'd only gone up 28% under us. 28% compared with 96%. 28% compared with 96%. Those are the numbers. Oh, the member over there is telling us his economic policy now. It's slightly different from Grant Robinson's. That was, we will build 30,000 houses. But then that member isn't really part of the Labor Party front bench. I asked the Labor Party, If they want to see 30,000 more houses built in New Zealand, why don't they support the RMA reforms? Why don't they actually support things that will enable that to happen in this House? They don't, because they don't care. And the only thing they've got is some whimsical promise that they can pluck 30,000 houses out of the air in some Stalinist approach of economic management that Grant Robertson thought up on Calvin Parade. He didn't actually go to Auckland. None of them have actually been there and seen the market and what you have to do. This is the Kiwi build of the Labour Party, which I'm sure would be the flop of the Labour Party, as we all know. Mr. Speaker, this bill is a small bill. Nobody's going to deny that. It's a small bill. It doesn't have a huge amount of change. Doesn't it do anything? It does do something. It's called the the member tax credit is what home buyers under the Kiwisaver program can now access. It doesn't enable them to withdraw their $1,000 kickstart contribution, but it does enable them to get that. Where's the government's contribution? Well, it would be interesting to see where the government's contribution is when you consider New Zealand First, a party that doesn't support the road from Puhoi to Wellsford, a party where its leader in his speech last year in the election campaign said no to that road, said no to the one thing needed in Northland.
Point of order. Honourable Clayton Cosgrave.
I'll be able to assist me. I don't believe there's any reference to a by-election or the Puhoi Road or anything else.
No, you're exactly right.
Thank you.
This is about Kiwisaver, and that's what we should be focusing on.
And thank you, Mr. Speaker. It has been quite a wide-ranging debate. I noticed the Labour Party never spoke about the bill. They just spoke about their Kiwi Build program, which had nothing to do with this bill and will have nothing to do with anything that will provide a solution to New Zealand's housing issues. So when we look at this bill does support first home buyers. And it honours an election pledge that was made at that time. And the Homestart package that was debated during the election campaign comprised 3 changes. And one of these changes is in regard to helping New Zealanders through this tax credit being able to be withdrawn so that new home buyers can get access to that. There's also some other changes in the legislation that are more subsidiary and relate to other subsidiary, that means secondary for the member over there. He would know what secondary is because he lost his electorate, but so that's what it means in practical terms for you, Mr. Cosgrove. And so in those terms, there is that part of the bill as well, Mr. Speaker, that deals with issues to do with venture expansions, and is something that is tidying up some effects that we've seen in the previous legislation in that area. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a bill which we will have support from the other parties in this House, which is good to see. It is a bill which enables New Zealand homeowners to access that part of the Kiwisaver Homestart program through the ability to get that tax credit back. It is a bill that will be in the best interests of all New Zealanders. It is a bill that is not trying to create some kind of solution to a property market that is not possible, and what the Labour Party has said in building 30,000 houses through some grand government program, which would make our housing estates look very one-dimensional and not be effective at all in providing opportunities for New Zealanders to get into their first home or other homes. So this is a good bill, Mr. Speaker. It helps New Zealanders on that path. It is practical, it is real, it will work, it is not a dream, it is not a fantasy, and it is not some vision of the past that will never happen. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.